Hey gang, Diana here, just gathering up some supplies for a video today. We're going to do another little journal, create a little journal along the lines of a traveler's notebook, and just get started on some quick and easy ideas to get you moving on journaling. So a few months back, I will link the video below, I was talking about really quick journaling, and I'm using this Dilutions journal, and that's been great all summer. I've had that box, so I'll refer you to that video below. And lately I've been noticing people using these traveler's notebooks. Now this is not a traveler's notebook, I think it's a little bit larger, but this is the other thing that I have been making and I thought I would share with you. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can decorate the paper and use different papers. So for instance, I had a lot of scrapbooking paper that had been hanging around like way too long in my studio. So I cut this to, I think it was 8 by 8 approximately, 8 by 8 inches square, and let's get to showing you how to put this simple little book together. Let's talk about the tools we're going to need to make this little book, and they're pretty simple basic tools for bookbinding. The first thing is a tapestry needle, and I believe this is a number 20. The tapestry needle is blunt on the end so you won't pierce your paper, and has a nice eye to it so that the waxed linen will go easily through it. Now this could be, for this such a small book, it could be waxed linen, it could even be embroidery floss. You might want to pull it through across a candle a couple times just to get a little bit of wax on it. Put that aside. I have an awl to poke my holes, a bone folder, that's just where I keep my needles, and I have a stack of, this paper is, I think it's 7.5, I could measure it and tell you. It doesn't matter too much. This is 8 inches and by 8 inches, so I wanted the proportions of 2 times the width for the height. So I just have a stack of this. Now this can be any kind of paper you want to use. I have a couple of heavier pieces in here. I have lots of pieces of old scrapbooky paper in my book that I just will not be using for anything, so this was a great way to use it up, and that is partly how this was sort of inspired by the Midori Traveler's notebooks, which I believe are a little smaller, and my usual way of making books with many types of papers in them. So I clipped everything together. This has, I bet it has about 10 pieces of paper. 2, 4, as you can see how important, yeah, 10 pieces of paper. Some of them are a lot heavier than others, and try to use a piece of cardstock for your outside, just so it has a little more protection. So I'm not doing anything fancy here. I'm bending the paper in half, and bend it as fold it in half as one unit. Don't fold the pages one by one, because the pages will have less, the interior pages, the fold will be different on them. Just trust me. I think I even pointed out in one of my videos why you do this. Okay, so that was a lot of pages to fold all at the same time, but I did it. I got the job done. And now, since it does have a thickness to it, I'm going to run my bone folder along this spine edge here, just to, so it's not sloppy looking. I want it to be kind of neat and as though it's an actual spine. It's kind of a fake spine. Okay, so now that's done. Now we're going to take this little piece of craft foam, it could be a mouse pad, just to keep from messing up your kitchen table or whatever, And I'm going to poke 5 holes. This is a 5-hole pamphlet. So somewhere in the middle here, and I do not measure, but you're certainly welcome to measure if you're, if you want to. So this is 8 inches. So let's see, we'll put the first one at 4. And the only thing, I'm going into that pad and then I'm putting a nice hole in there so I don't have to struggle. The only thing that I would do definitely is come down no less than a 1/4 inch. I usually come down about a 1/2 inch, 3, you know, somewhere between 1/4 and a 1/2, no less than 1/4. Okay, so that hole goes in, and then because I trust my eye, I'm going to put a hole somewhere between these. And again, you can feel free to measure and place these perfectly, but I just really never do measure those books. I don't, you know, if you're making a book for, if you're a binder, you're going to want to, you need to measure. But for this, we don't need to measure. Okay, let's put that aside because I just... Now, I've got the waxed linen, and really this could be... I would have used this thread, but you can't see it. I mean, you really can't see it. It's much finer. It doesn't matter. This is such a small book. So we want approximately twice the height of the book. I always go a little bit more... Scissors. Be generous, and you can just flatten that. If you're going to have trouble, you can flatten the end of your waxed thread with a bone folder and put it in. Now, we're definitely not going to tie this off or anything. Okay. What we're going to do is, you can do this, you can come from the outside or from the inside. I am going to have my thread end on the inside. In through the center hole. We'll call that station 3. Or, I'm sorry, out through the center hole. On the other side of the book, in to station 2, and I'm just leaving that end loose. I'm going to hold this and just pull a little bit, put some tension on that. This is probably the tension is it's all about the tension with the bookbinding. Okay, it went out station 1. Okay. And now it's going to go back in to station 2. And now this is the only trick with this book, is I'm going to skip station 3 and take it into station 4. I did not leave myself much space there, but it's enough to tie it off. Okay, into station 4. Or out station 4, I'm sorry, in station 5, out station 4 again. So you're just sewing up and down the spine, skipping that center station, and then out again. We're back up to station 3 again, and we're going to sew back into the book, but on the other side. You can see that I have one thread, that beginning thread end here on one side of this, and I'm going to take this one out and on the other side. So that's it. That is the sewing for this book. You might want to just check your tension, make sure things are not tight but taut. This is a great book. This is a great way to start bookbinding because it's so simple, and it will really teach you about tension. Now here in the center, I'm going to tie off a square knot. So left over right, right over left. And there we go. And I can take my bone folder and sort of squish it into that hole if I want. Now, I can go ahead and cut this off now. I could cut it off real close, or I could leave this as a sort of a tassel if I wanted to in the center. And remember, that could also be outside. So there's your book. Talk about quick and simple. The only thing left to do is, in my mind, the best thing with these is that I am taking some time here in my studio to do this book and get it prepped so that I can really put it in my pocket with a pen and go anywhere and work with it. So the other thing you might want to do, you don't have to, if you have a don't like that push out there, you can take your ruler and line it up with the cover and take an X-Acto blade. I have a self-healing mat here, and just gently with the X-Acto, you're going to hold that ruler right there in place, and gently with the X-Acto just keep making swipes until you've gotten rid of all of that. Just takes a few swipes. It also takes practice. This does a little bit. But you can, I'm starting to feel it going through everything at this point. And this is a nice way to neaten up your book if you want. Now, once I move that ruler, I'm kind of like, done. Try not to move your ruler. I just made the prime mistake of moving my ruler. But I think I can still, just being really careful. And that's a bit crookedy, that book, but you know what? I'm going to turn it around. Yeah, see, it's definitely crookedy. Okay, just in case that wasn't clear, that's sewing. I'm just going to do a little illustration here. Some people learn better this way. So there's the spine of your book. There's station 1, at least about 3/4 of an inch. Then I just split that visually. Again, 3/4 of an inch. Split visually, split visually. Okay, here's your thread. It's inside the book now. That's why it's a dotted line. It's coming out the book. So you sew out and up, and then back in, and then out, and down, and then back in. And then we're going to skip that middle station. We're going to sew out and down and back in, and then up and then out and then back in to station 3, and then we'll tie it off. So I hope that helps. You know what? I'll do a PDF or a little picture of that so you can see. Okay, so now we've made the little book, and we're ready to go. So in the next video, I'll give you some quick and easy ideas on how to go through this book and just sort of mix it up a little bit with stamps, with stenciling, with inks and markers and other materials to give things a quick injection so that when you go to write or go to do some drawing or thinking or whatever, you have a broken up page there. It's a really fun way to work. It seems a little bit less stressful to me, so I'm looking forward to bringing you to the next video. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and comment below. Click the show more for Julie Balzer's blog and my blog. And thanks to Julie for hosting me today. And I will see you in the next video, which will also be up today. So see you soon.